Hello! Today I'm going to show you what everybody wants to know. How do you repair a blowout seam in a pair of jeans? You've got your favorite pair of jeans, and for some reason, the way somebody walks, they just wear out this part of their jean first, and I'm going to show you how to fix it. We need to decide if we can take this into the sewing machine and sew it like this. That is always preferable, is to sew it on the inside. But is this hole too big? I think it's too big, because if I take it right here and I sew it on the inside, that's gonna buckle. I don't want to fix that, so we're not gonna do that. Actually, with this one, with this worn spot right here, I think I'm going to do it with that. Just take it on the inside and sew it there, and I'll show you how to do that. So here's the thing. It's so much better to fix your pants when they're like this rather than like this. What did Grandma say? A stitch in time saves 9. So if your pants are getting worn through, they're easy to stitch on the inside, we'll do both ways, right? We're gonna have to just make a patch on the inside and sew that down, all right? And we're going to start by cutting with pinking shears. Why do I cut with pinking shears and why do I cut on the diagonal? Because I don't want fraying. Fraying is bad. Fraying is the enemy. So we're going to cut on the diagonal. We're going to get us a nice piece of fabric. You see how this is kind of a triangle? We're going to get kind of a triangle going here. And we're going to overdo it, like way on the outside, like right here, right? I mean, it's not quite that big, but we want it that big. And this side, you see, we don't want the fraying to happen because it's gonna compromise the fabric. So we're gonna put this, we've got that one right there to do the patch. We're gonna take this into the sewing machine and do it a little bit over there. And then we've got this hole over here. I'm going to make another little patch for over here. And I'm going to, so when I first started doing these patches, I used stitch witchery. But I'm not going to use it today, and I'll tell you why. The stitch witchery makes it stiffer, and it doesn't fold and bend like normal everyday denim. And I want it to look as comfortable as possible and not be stiff. So we're going to do it without it. I've got a patch. Let's go to the machine. You have to get a matching thread. This is so critical because you want this to be invisible. You have to get a matching thread. This one looks good. Even though it's worn out a little bit right here, it's going to match. All we're going to do here, so we're going to pinch it. We can see where this is. We're going to pinch it, and we're going to sew it as close as we can, right? I actually, after we sew it on the inside, I want to put some top stitching in the top because it's going to be matching thread. Let's see how that looks on the outside. The big reveal. That looks good. I'm also going to do this one. That one has days and it's going. And then after we're done, we're going to put some top stitching in that to make it a little stronger. Look how beautiful. Wow. Now I'm going to fold that seam underneath over a little bit to the left, and I'm going to top stitch over that, like a 1/16 of an inch over that. And that looks beautiful. Very good. Very good. See how the matching thread is just essential. I can't think of a stronger word. We're good. Let's do the big one. We're looking here at the big one, and this one is split right up against the seam right here, and it's held together by tiny threads. This is another way to fix. I am going to just tuck this under and stitch that right there before I fix the big one. Okay, when your fingers are too fat, which mine are, I want to get my forceps in. And I don't think we could even pin this, but we are going to do that. We're going to do this, and we're going to do that. Now, if you're lucky enough to get a hole right against the seam, that is the way to fix that. I did tell you to pick something with a little stretch. These pants have a little stretch, but not a lot. But we do need to get something with stretch in it. Now, those other two fixes that I did, I could do on the right side. First I have to, and we're going to do this one on the right side, but first we have to pin this in place because sure as shootin', this will move. So we're going to have to put a couple pins. I like to put pins right, I need a bigger piece. We are going to put the dark side up. This is a little bit bigger. Make sure, yeah, it's going to cover that better. So you see how I'm going to pin to this seam, and we're going to pin to this seam. So it won't move. Okay, now we need to assess what is the worst thing about this hole. The worst thing about this hole is the white threads. Do we want to cut those out? I don't think so. I want to try to get them to be as together as possible. I mean, it'd be great if I can get this to be together like that and do one zigzag in. If I can get those threads in, they'll just have to lay. Let's see. Don't want to damage this anymore, but let's just see. Because here's the thing. You got one shot at this, all right? You can't take this out because we're going to zigzag like nuts. And I want a tight stitch. I want to see how that looks actually. Yeah, we've got to do a tight zigzag over the hole. But after I do the hole, I'm going to do something else. No more zigzags, or maybe just a little bit. I'm going to show you. But first, we got to cover this up. Let's look at this. So you see how my tight zigzag has covered a lot of the white? And that was what was drawing the eye. So there's two things you're doing here. You're fixing the hole, and you're stopping people from looking there. So we've got the white almost covered. I'm actually going to do a little more zigzags to see if I can finish covering that white up. And then I'm going to do one more thing, and then we'll be done. Okay, boys and girls, we have fixed the hole. Now we're going to reinforce this so it doesn't happen again. And when I reinforce, I look at the grain of the jeans. You see how there's lines kind of going up and down? I'm going to sew a very, very gentle zigzag up and down here because I can feel my fabric is all the way out to here. All right, I'm going to sew a very gentle zigzag. You can see. It's a very, I'm going to put a little bit more, a very gentle zigzag. Why? Why am I sewing a very gentle zigzag? Because this is slightly stretchy. And I want the fabric to stretch and give a little bit. So we're sewing a very gentle zigzag up and down these striations of the jeans. Now just watch for a second. I can feel underneath that my fabric goes out to here. I'm going to come down here along with the striations, and then we're going to go backwards. Look, you can't even see. And why can't you see? Because you chose the right thread. And we're going to go forward. This is reinforcing so it doesn't happen again. So in a couple weeks, you don't get this person coming back and saying, I have another hole. This is a weak spot right there, you can see. And actually I'm going to go over that a little bit darker. I don't want it to be seen. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of a wider zigzag on that part because I just don't want it to be seen. I want the white to go away. Oh, that looks a little bit annoying. Had to be done. All right, now I'm going to go back to reinforcing on a very narrow zigzag. Edit it if you want, but there's one more part we have to do. I can see that the edge of my hole is right there. Can you guys, I don't know if you can see that. See the fraying right there? I didn't zigzag over the edge of that hole very well. So yeah, we're going back in and we're gonna do a tight, wide zigzag over the edge of this right here. So I can't have that coming out. That is gonna be as good as we can get. Now you might say it doesn't look perfect, but this is in your crotch, if I can say that word. People should not be looking there. So it won't be highly noticeable, and it's gonna give these pants a couple more years of wear. Okay, I'm looking at the inside here, and we have these flappies. We have to decide whether we're going to trim that with the pinking shears or whether we are going to sew that into the seam. And I'm gonna sew it into the seam because I know he's gonna wear this. He's gonna wear these spots out, and I want this, this is a reinforcement. So we fixed the hole, we covered the white, and now we're reinforcing right here. I'm just gonna sew right on top of this seam right here. Nobody will see. And it's gonna secure, oops, we're not on zigzag. It's gonna secure that piece right there so that it will help in not allowing this to happen again. So when you're sewing the edges of these seams in, you can't have it bunched up like this and sew the edge because then the pants won't lay flat. So you have to get the patch and the pants to lay flat. It doesn't want to, but you have to get it to do it. You have to be the boss. And when it lays flat, you might have to push it flat. Then we're gonna sew this seam in. We're gonna trim off this like to a 1/2 inch of whatever wasn't sewn because we don't want stuff flapping around down there. I mean, that would be worse. So we're going to trim this close to the stitching that's there, like a 1/2 inch, just so that he's comfortable. There we go. Let's take a look. That's okay. Now we've got one more little hole that I've yet to do, but I want you to look at that. You can wear those. This is a dad of 2 little boys, and I know that he's going to wear these. A lot of people come to me with the blown out seam right in the crotch. Can I say that? A lot of people come to me with this fix, and it's something that you can do with a little piece of scrap denim. This kind of fix, people come to me afterwards and that I do this, and they say, oh, it's great. It has not worn, it hasn't made another hole. So this is the way to do it, and you can do it. Thanks for watching.